Good morning. My name is Emily Zacek, and I have the honor of introducing my uncle as our homily speaker today. Associate Professor of Psychology Mark Baird joined Whitworth University in 2012, having earned his Doctorate of Psychology in Clinical Psychology from Biola University. He has over 20 years of clinical experience. As an Army psychologist, he served on staff at multiple military hospitals and headed Army psychological outpatient clinics both in the United States and in Iraq. As a civilian, he led the Tacoma Vet Center. He specializes in the assessment, diagnoses, and treatment of people experiencing psychological difficulties and consults about psychological trauma throughout the greater Spokane community. Here at Whitworth, Mark has been selected as a most influential professor by 5 different senior classes with good reason. As someone who has taken a handful of his classes, I can personally attest to his humorous and witty interactions with faculty and students, as well as his genuine care for individuals and their successes. His education, training, and wide array of experiences as a psychology student, an Army psychologist, and as a practicing clinical psychologist in Spokane, Whitworth students can wholeheartedly rely on Mark for deep knowledge and understanding in this field of study. Although I am biased, not only being his favorite student of all time, but also his first niece, I can confidently say that Mark has earned this respect and adoration from students throughout all these years. And so, I would like to introduce our homily speaker, my uncle, Dr. Mark Baird.
They're handing out Kleenex in the back. Thank you so much, Emily. It has been an honor to watch your journey as you have demonstrated thoughtfulness, compassion, and a steady, even-keeled way of navigating life. You continue to hone your gifts, and you were an amazing student to have in class. I'm so very proud of you. And thank you, friends, family, and graduating class of 2022. That's right. For being here today. Welcome. You know, often during graduation weekend, a certain doctor's seminal work on potential paths beyond now is cited in commencement speeches, and the premise is used as a framework for inspiration. For those of you who haven't encountered it, Dr. Seuss's Oh, the Places You'll Go finds a narrator looking forward to all the adventures that await the protagonist. And while it has such hopeful messages about the future, I can't help but notice the solitary young figure. But I think one of the reasons it is so popular is that it gives some answers to the questions that we are constantly asking ourselves. What's next? This orientation towards the future makes sense. In fact, in order to successfully navigate university life, you've had to look forward. You've had to treat this like a race, a marathon, to be frank. Looking forward, what's the next assignment? When is the final? What classes do I need to register for next semester? Do I even need to take a Jan term? Can I take 22 credits in one semester and graduate on time? You have been striving, step after step, towards the finish line. And now that you are there, it can be tempting to just keep looking forward, to just keep running, to try and quickly answer the question, what's next? This can be quite a daunting question to answer and can lead to feelings of isolation and foreboding. The scriptures that were just read, Miriam's song and then Mary's song, model for us something different. They highlight the value of taking time to stop and to reflect. I would like to propose that we create our own book, one that is hopeful and vital. Perhaps we'll call it, Oh, the Places You Went. and oh, the things you overcame, and oh, the people who helped you. Or just simply, with God at your side, you did it. Our initial passage finds Miriam and the people of Israel immediately after a grueling and, to say the least, stress-filled journey. And we find some parallels with the class of 22's particular journey. Only a few months earlier, the Israelites had a very hard but predictable life. Day after day, after a big batch of straw was delivered, they would slop in the mud and with it create brick after brick after brick. It was hard work, but it was predictable. Now think back to when you first stepped onto campus. Many of you had the assurance that while this definitely would be difficult, Whitworth had honed its craft over 130 years, providing structures, experiences, and environments conducive to learning. Dedicated classroom space with desks facing the professor, fellow learners on either side, personal attention and connection from professors to shore up gaps in knowledge, dorms and theme houses where fellow learners with similar goals and schedules live, cohorting through the educational process. And even with those supports, you knew it would be a lot of sustained effort to complete a college degree. It took tremendous courage to even start the journey. But with God at your side, you started. And then. And then. So Miriam's generation of Israelites got a surprise. After Moses went and told Pharaoh, Yahweh says, let my people go, Pharaoh got angry and out of spite said, we're going to make their lives even more difficult. No longer are we going to deliver these piles of straw to them. Instead, we'll make them go and get it, and still increase the quota of the bricks they are to make. In March of 2020, COVID, like Pharaoh's henchmen, came and took your piles of straw. You were still required to do university-level work, but to now do so in an unexpectedly different environment. Suddenly, the classroom was your living room, or kitchen, or closet. Rather than desks all facing the professor, surrounded by fellow learners, you sat in beds or on bar stools facing not just tiny squares who were your professors and classmates, but also everything else beyond the computer screen. Dirty dishes that needed to be cleaned. Funny posters with clever sayings. That PS4 that was just begging to be played. And some of you did not resist. And around you, either no one, or others with vastly different schedules, life goals, and frankly, different volume levels, wandering in and out. Now, those were some heavy breaks. You had to find a way to learn in spite of the environment. And you never were alone. With God at your side. Get it? Many of us know the story of the Israelites' escape from Egypt. Their difficult but predictable life changed so quickly. Miriam and her cohort were suddenly enduring the 10 plagues. Immediately, they're grabbing a few things, leaving their homes, and escaping Egypt. They quickly moved from the terror of seeing Pharaoh and his entire army catch up to them, to the awesome wonder of God splitting the Red Sea. I picture them as they walk through, first looking at the water like walls, and then looking at each other in a bit of disbelief. This is really happening, right? Sharing this nearly unbelievable journey, helping each other move forward. Last night, Chancella reflected on the specific moment in March 2020 when the phones of every student buzzed at the same time, alerting them to the fact that Whitworth was shutting down in-person activities. Everyone was going home. What a time to be able to look around to see each other. This is really happening, right? You have shared the experiences of this unbelievable journey. And the Israelites got to the other side. The water crashed on Pharaoh and his army. Miriam and her cohorts made it. They could have merely continued on their journey, but they paused. This group that had together experienced this unbelievable journey, they turned toward each other and marked the occasion. They reflected on what they had done, noticing, acknowledging that the Lord was with them. And this is quite exciting, for Miriam grabs tambourines and dances, singing, "Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. He has thrown the horse and his rider into the sea." And only after that time of reflection and celebration did they move on to the what's next. Generations later, Mary went through her own complete life shakeup. This happened at an individual level. Visited by an angel of the Lord, told that she will conceive in her womb the child of God. And she agreed to it. If Mary only asked herself, what's next, she might have come up with some fairly bleak answers. Or it was pretty likely that she would be ostracized away from her community for the rest of her life. But what did she do then? First, she sought comfort in the presence of another, an ally who might understand what she's going through. In fact, Luke explains right after her interaction with Gabriel that Mary hurried to the hill country of Judah to be with her cousin Elizabeth. And this is a brilliant move. For Elizabeth had a few points of connection. Her husband had been visited by Gabriel, the very same angel that visited Mary. And while nothing can compare to the miracle of Mary's pregnancy, Elizabeth's pregnancy was pretty miraculous too. For Elizabeth was much older and had all but given up on ever bearing a child. Mary found that connection. She was immediately embraced by Elizabeth, who celebrated her. "You are the most blessed of women." I could see them looking at each other, finding in each other an ally on the unbelievable journey. Mary had passed through one of the hardest times of her life and would need to move towards the next part of her journey. But first, Mary sang her song of remembrance, a reminder, proclaiming what the Lord had done, recalling God's mercies from Abraham's generation through now. And then she rested. Mary returned home, confident that she had an ally in her cousin, and that the same God who had been with Miriam's cohort was with Mary as well. And so now, class of 2022, look around. You are amongst your fellow journeymates, as you will be again this afternoon. When you hear your name called and you walk across that stage, that finish line, know that however God opened the way for you to get here, with the potential to earn a Whitworth degree, you pressed forward to realize that potential. Take time to look around and know you were never alone. As you completed the hard work of moving forward, sometimes walking, sometimes running, and sometimes crawling with one shoe somewhere back there. Sometimes allowing yourself to be helped, sometimes helping your friends. And for some of you, sometimes helping me along. As you receive your degree, take time to reflect what the Lord has done for you. That you are never alone. That the Lord is at your side. Oh, the places you'll go. Potential is wonderful, but Lady Macbeth was right when she proclaimed, what has been done can never be undone. Class of 22, stand up. Look around. You ran the race and crossed the finish line. At least 126 credits of university level work in the books. That's right. Rest in the fact. I'm so glad you guys sat down. From now on, whatever paths the Lord opens for you, you are a graduate of Whitworth University with the Lord at your side. You did it.